Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How are you today? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is attorney Farmer Odunlami. I have a really great topic for you guys today, so I will wait for a couple of minutes for you guys to join me. But I want to talk about the latest news, Biden administration news. And so I want to explain it and I want to um, just basically talk about what it means if this law was to be passed, because this would be awesome. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Ifama Odunlami, immigration attorney from the Odunlami Law Firm. For those who do not know me and for those who are joining me for the first time, I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm also an immigrant, and my passion and my purpose is to help my fellow immigrants to get legal status, to come out of the shadows, not to live to live clear and without fear of deportation or, um, of deportation or having to be separated from their families. So, my office is in New Jersey, but we work with clients from all 50 states because immigration is federal law. So, if you have an immigration matter, we can assist you. Um, so guys, this is a great topic. So if you have friends who are immigrants, related to immigrants, friends of immigrants, this is a good time for them to join me. And typically I do my lives in the afternoons, but today is a full consult day. So I want to come in really quick and discuss it. Thank you, Bioma, for joining me. Thank you. Um, uh, okay, all the people who are joining, thank you. So let me get into it because I really have literally 30 minutes. So, I think it was a couple of days ago, the Biden administration announced, well, they didn't really announce because this news was announced by the New York Times, and I think it was actually leaked by somebody in the Biden administration. But basically, President Biden is looking to protect a certain group of undocumented people from deportation. So I want to explain what that means and how that affects other people. So basically, the plan that they're trying to put in place is something called Parole in Place. And basically, it's looking to protect spouses of U.S. citizens who did not come in with inspection. So basically, they came into the United States without illegally, unlawfully. So now let me explain what that means. If you come in with a B1, B2 visa or an F1 visa or any other kind of visa, that's a lawful entry, regardless of the fact that you overstayed, right? So for those people, say you come in with a B1, B2, which is a visitor's visa, and you overstay, right? You're there here for longer than 6 months, and maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years later, you meet a US citizen, right? Because it's a US citizen, you can marry them, adjust your status, get your green card within the United States, and you don't have to leave because you were inspected and admitted, right? So it doesn't matter that you're no longer in status, but your initial entry was lawful. Now, if you come in through the border, right, without inspection, which is you kind of, snuck in, or, or you came in without being inspected, without being admitted, um, you cannot get your green card within the United States. You have to first of all file a waiver, which is a request for forgiveness for the manner of your entry. And if the waiver is approved, because it's called a provisional waiver, which means that you can get the waiver here, and if the waiver is approved, then you can leave, go to your country, go to the consulate, American consulate, the embassy, do your interview, and then you can come back into the United States and get a green card. Okay. Now, this kind of creates a lot of problems for people who, families, because it causes a lot of, separation. This process takes a long time to get a waiver, a 601 waiver. You're looking at quite like maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 years before you receive it. I mean, of course, you can get it here before you depart, but sometimes when you go outside the country, it can take a short period of time, or it can take a longer period of time, depending on how busy that embassy is, or what issues arise. So basically, what this means is that even if you came without inspection, you no longer have to do consular processing. Consular processing is what we call it when you have to leave the United States, or if you are outside the United States and the person who's petitioning for you is petitioning for you to come into the United States. That's consular process, right? So now, let me also explain other people that need to do consular processing, right? Because it's not just people who come in without inspection. It's also people who might have come in with inspection, but are no longer in legal status. So I'm going to start from the beginning. There's some people who are exempt from having to go back to their country and to do consular processing, as long as they came in legally, right? They came in with inspection. So we're talking about the spouse of a U.S. citizen, the child of a U.S. citizen who's under the age of 21, and the parent of a U.S. citizen who is 21 and above. These three categories are called immediate relatives. So if you're an immediate relative, as long as you came in with inspection, you should have no problem adjusting within the United States, right? The exceptions, there are always exceptions, all right? So now, if you came in as, if you came in, okay, let me actually go back to, so these are immediate relatives. Let's talk about the preference category. So if the immediate relatives are the people I just discussed, the reason why they can adjust their status also is because there's a visa immediately available to them. They don't have to wait on the line to get a visa. There's a visa immediately available to them, even though it might take a while for them to get to get their green card. It's available to them. They don't have to wait on the line. Now, the preference category falls into four parts. F1, and I don't mean F1 the student, I mean F1 the preference group. F1 is unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. Now, in immigration, sons and daughters mean people who are over 21. Child or children means under 21. So those terms are very specific. So unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens is F1. F2 is broken into two. F2A is the spouse and children of a green card holder. F2B is the sons and daughters of a green card holder, right? F3 is the married sons and daughters or married children, as long as you're married, of a U.S. citizen. And F4 is the siblings of a U.S. citizen. Now, this preference group, even if you have a family member who's a U.S. citizen that can file for you, or you're married to a U.S. citizen, you have a parent who's a U.S. citizen, because you're in a preference, you must be in legal status for you to be able to adjust your status and get your green card. So let me say that again, because it's a little complex, right? If you're in the preference category, you must be in legal status. So if you came in on a tourist visa, and by the time a visa is available to you, because this preference group, there's no visa immediately available. You file and get on the line and wait for a visa to be available. And when that visa is available, you must be in legal status. And if you're not in legal status, you cannot adjust your status within the United States. You have to file a waiver for forgiveness of your unlawful presence, and then you have to leave the United States, go back to your country, consular process, and then be approved for a green card, come back and get your green card. So this new law that Biden is discussing does not have anything to do with people in preference. It doesn't have to do with you guys. It really just has to deal with people who are undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens, not undocumented spouses of green card holders, not siblings of U.S. citizens, not adult children of U.S. citizens. No, it's only specific to undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. So, like I said, this is going to be done through something called Parole in Place. Now, there's other programs that have used this similar parole in place idea. There's military parole in place, and I'm going to explain it to you, and then I'm going to go over exceptions of people who can still stay inside the United States even though they're not immediate relatives. Okay, so if you know somebody who might be interested in this, this is a great topic. Have them join in right now. I'll forward it to them. So military parole in place came about, I think it had to do with a U.S. officer, a military officer who was in Iraq, I believe it's Iraq, and who was actually missing. Ultimately, he died, right? He was married to an undocumented immigrant, and as a result of the fact that he passed away, it meant that he couldn't file for her, right? Because, I mean, she wouldn't be able to get a green card because she came in through the border. So the military parole in place was created as a form of recognition and respect for military citizens who have family members who are undocumented and would not otherwise qualify to get their green cards within the United States without having to leave. So these are the people that qualify for parole in place. And it's called parole in place because your manner of entry is forgiven. That's what it is. So even though you came in without inspection, they forgive it if you can show this, that number one, that you have a spouse, a parent, a son, or daughter who is in the military. It could be active military, it could be the reserves, it could be somebody who's living, it could be somebody who's dead, right? As long as they were in the military and they were honorably discharged, or maybe still in the military, right? And there are a couple more requirements, but that's pretty much what it is. So if you can show that, you can adjust your status within the United States without having to leave the country. Now, this is really helpful for this category of people, parents who came in through the border, or parents who were not inspected, but you have U.S. citizen children. This is why it's really helpful for them. If you have U.S. citizen children, they're now 21, they can file for you, but you came in unlawfully, you're not going to be able to adjust your status within the United States. You're going to need a waiver. However, your children cannot be a qualifying relative for a waiver. So that pretty much leaves you without any recourse. It means that you can't get a green card. So even though you have a U.S. citizen child, you can't get a green card because they don't qualify to file a waiver for you. And therefore, without the waiver, you cannot leave the country, because if you leave the country, you're now stuck outside for 10 years because unlawful presence attaches if you've been here over 1 year unlawfully, and over 6 months unlawfully. So if you're a parent and you have a child in the military, that's awesome because your child can now file for you. You can ultimately, the parole in place, I have to tell you, is discretionary though. It's not guaranteed. The main things you have to show that you're worthy of that discretion. And if you are, then guess what? It works for you. So what President Biden is trying to put in place, what we're hoping he's actually going to put in place, is something similar, but this is just for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. But there are certain areas of immigration law which disregards your manner of entry. VAWA is one of them, Violence Against Women's Act. Remember, we talk about VAWA all the time. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, or you're married to a green card holder, or you're the child of a U.S. citizen or green card holder, or you're the parent of a U.S. citizen who has suffered abuse, right? And you can show that you've suffered abuse. You can show that you lived with them at some point, and you can show you're a person of good moral character. And in the context of marital relationships, you can show that it's a bona fide marriage. Then, if you can file VAWA, VAWA does not care that you came in without being inspected. You will be able to get your green card, get your work permit, get your travel permit all here within the United States, and you have a pathway to citizenship without having to leave the United States. Another case type that does not require, does not care about your manner of entry is the U visa. The U visa is for victims of crimes. Victims of crimes, bystander witnesses to crimes. Remember, it has to be a qualifying crime, so it's not a crime such as somebody came, slashed your tire, unless you can show that it was some kind of stalking activity. And you, of course, the requirement is that you reported all of this to the police. So go take a look at the qualifying crimes so that you know what is a qualifying crime for a U visa. And if you're a bystander witness, which means that it didn't happen to you, but you witnessed it, maybe you were in a public place, you witnessed it, or it happened to your child, or it happened to your spouse, and you could show that you suffered as a result of that, then yes, you're a bystander witness of a crime. All right. So if you're a bystander witness of a crime, it doesn't matter how you came in. If ultimately you will qualify to get your green card, and ultimately you'll qualify to get become a U.S. citizen without having to leave the United States. So another case type is the T visa, trafficking. Trafficking is for labor trafficking. It's for sex trafficking, right? If you can show that you're a victim of trafficking, and trafficking is not what we think it is, because in immigration, trafficking is more specific. So I think I've done some trafficking videos, right? Basically, for labor trafficking, which a lot of my cases comprise of, you want to show that, that the person lured you into involuntary servitude through force, through fraud, through coercion. And involuntary servitude shows up in many instances. It could be people working as nannies, working in home health, working as a home health aide, working as in construction, working in restaurants. It could be a smuggling situation turned trafficking. You came in through the border, but then ultimately the people that brought you in trafficked you, caused you to do work that you were not compensated for, and you were not able to leave the situation. It could also be in domestic cases, which means it could be with your partner, it could be with your partner, it could be with your spouse, and they don't have to be U.S. citizens, right? And now also another category that does not require you to come in lawfully into the United States is special immigrant juvenile status. Special immigrant juvenile status is applicable for children, people who are single, under the age of 21, who've been abused, abandoned, or neglected by at least one parent, and you have to show that you cannot that reunification with that parent cannot occur as a result of the abuse, the abandonment, or the neglect, and that they're better off in the United States. Now, in some states, abandonment qualifies. The death of one parent, and with some additional facts, qualify as abandonment. So. Now, the last category I want to talk about that will forgive the fact that you came here without inspection is 245I. 245I is magic. I was a beneficiary of 245I, okay? And 245I helps people who came in, without they came in without legal status, or they were here and they overstayed, right? And now, maybe they have to get married to somebody who, like a green card holder, and without having that forgiven, that length of time that they overstayed, they would not be able to adjust their status without leaving. So 245I means that you were physically present in the United States on at least on December 21, 2000, and a petition was filed for you, or labor cert was filed for you. Whether or not it was successful does not matter, but it was approvable, and it was filed April 30th, 2001. Now, if that happens to you, you can adjust your status based on 245I without having to leave the United States. So that's the topic for today. I'm going to take some questions, and then we can wrap it up. But like I said, this proposed rule by Biden is not yet law. We haven't had, they haven't made law made that law yet. However, we've heard that they're considering this protection for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens, and that'll be awesome. So when it happens, we'll let you know. But in the meantime, keep your eyes, listen up and follow me. Follow me to get notified of current news. And if you need assistance with your immigration case, we do humanitarian immigration. Um, we do family-based, fiance, and all of that. So another pathway I forgot to mention that does not care how you entered is asylum. All right, that's it. There may be others, but this is all I can remember right now. So if you have any issues, you have any questions, you know somebody who needs assistance with the immigration papers, feel free to call us 973-993-1900. That is the only number for you to call us, 973-993-1900. We have another number, but that is reserved for people who become our clients. So don't let anyone scam you into making payments to somebody that is not me, okay? So you want to be sure about that. 973-993-1900. That is the number to call. So let's see. Let me answer a few questions, and then I will mosey along because today is a full day of consultations. Let's see. So Saeed Kakare says F1 overstayed can file marriage based without leaving. So Saeed, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, yes, you can file without leaving, even if you have overstayed because you were inspected. An F1, if it's the the F1 student visa, yes. Now, if you're F1 category because you're the unmarried child of a U.S. citizen, doesn't matter as long as you're married to a U.S. citizen. Doesn't matter. But if your parent is looking to file for you, you have to be in legal status. So it's not helpful for you to come in here with a B1, B2, and then you can't, your parent files, but when your parent files, you don't get a work permit, you don't get anything, and then you have to stay until your priority date is reached. And at that point, you still have to get a waiver because you're in a preference category, and the waiver has to be based on showing exceptional hardship to your parent or your spouse, a U.S. citizen parent, U.S. citizen or green card holder parent or spouse. So I think that's what your question is, but I hope I answered it. So let's see. So Precious says, what if you're a green card holder and you got deported for aggravated felony? Can you return back to the U.S.? It depends. Aggravated felony is hard to return, but you would need to have somebody do a proper analysis of what the crime was, see if there are waivers for it, and the person also has to have a qualifying relative that's willing to file for them, because I don't know that you can come back on a B1, B2, because those are really discretionary, and USCIS is not about to let, Department of State is not allowed to let somebody who was deported for a crime come back, unless it's based on a family filing. That's what I've found in my experience. So Elsie Wachori says, talk about an employer who files for you a work visa then abandons you without actually giving you the IOB. So Elsie, it would depend on the context, because if you were to come to my office for consultation, we will screen you to see whether there was any form of labor trafficking involved, or whether there was any crime committed against you by the employer, because you might also qualify for a U visa or a T visa. I don't know, but I can't, just because the employer abandoned you is not a basis for a path getting a green card. But we typically will screen to see if that employer's actions put you in a position that you could, get another pathway. All right. So be sure to reach out to an attorney and let them screen you for that. So Kemi says, if the law is passed, how long does it take to get the PIP? Well, the law hasn't been passed, but the PIP is not it's not a length of time. It's if you qualify, then you don't have to. You can file. You can file the adjustment of status I-485 with proof of whatever proof they're requiring. Okay. Karen says, I went home using travel advance parole with pending AM. What's pending AM? With pending. Am I safe to come back overstayed for 12 months? That's a long time. The advance parole is not supposed to allow you to stay outside for 12 months. So I think you need to talk to an attorney to actually, so they can get more information, because we would need to know what happened that caused you to overstay. But that's something you really need to talk to somebody about, because yeah. Somebody says, my VAWA is approved, but the I-485 shows online it has been transferred to 3 offices in 2 days. What does that mean? Honestly, it's not anything you should be concerned about, because USCIS will transfer cases all the time because they're looking to make the process faster. So, don't read too much meaning into it, but congratulations on having your VAWA approved, okay? All right, let's see. Hey, good morning, James. How are you? Good morning, Misty. Good morning, Janet. Hello, Natty. Thank you. So Luke Sky says, can someone get vaccine waivers due to their religious faith, and do USCIS approve such cases? Actually, Luke, yeah, you can file a waiver so that you don't get the vaccines. But remember that it can be just one vaccine. Your religion must not permit you to get any vaccine. So, but you can. It's possible. Let me tell you that it's possible. So reach out to a lawyer and let's reach out to us. We can assist you. 973-993-1900. Let's see. Looks, guys, how much is the attorney fees for family-based immigration? It depends on what type of case, and it depends on the context of your case. Spirit says, my uncle has a restaurant business and he can't find workers. Will he be able to sponsor you for a green card? It's not impossible, but there are many things that go into that, Spirit. So you want to talk to an attorney. Your uncle should talk to an attorney so that they can screen him to see, if he qualifies and if you, the person he's trying to file for, would qualify. But yeah, if you have a relative that has a business, they can definitely file for you, but there's requirements. All you need to know is, do you meet the requirements? So Olajide Olaniyi says, do I need a lawyer to submit Form I-693? No, you don't. But you want to be careful when you submit the I-693, because this is what we say. If you're submitting the I-693, I prefer for you to submit it as a package with the rest of everything you're submitting, with the rest of the petition. Because if you submit it randomly, USCIS is going to lose it. And it might be better to just take the I-693 with you for the interview, or wait for them to give you a request for evidence, in which case you're going to send it to them specifically. Because if you just send it just like that, they will lose it. Let's see. Mermaid says, I need to get in touch with you. We're overseas. You can reach us at 973-993-1900, or you can send us an email at support@odunlamilaw.com. All right. So how long is a reentry permit good for? Reentry permit is good for 2 years usually. How long does it take USCIS to approve it? It depends. All right. I think that's all the questions. Somebody said, can Canadian citizens settle in the US? Well, they have to, if they want to come to the United States, they have to come with some kind of status that allows them to stay in the United States. So, US has a special visa for Canadians and for Mexicans that allow them to work in the United States. So you can look into that. All right. So I think that's it from all the questions I got from, let me see if I have more questions from, all right. So Sexy Mommy says, my 12-year-old daughter just got an EAD under my VAWA application. Can she qualify for advanced parole to go as he has sick father in Canada. Well, she can file for the advanced parole, and yeah, if she gets the advanced parole, she can go. It allows her to go and come back. However, like I always say with advanced parole, just know that it's not automatic. Is it likely that she won't have any problems? Yeah. Because that's what it's made for. It's meant for, okay? But the CBP officers do their own thing. But if her father is sick, you should apply for advanced parole. And hopefully she can get to see him, okay? All right, wish you the best. Finest says, I'm married to a U.S. citizen for 4 years. We have issues. I filed for abuse case, but we're still living together. Can I file for naturalization? Whew. You're still living together. You filed for abuse. Naturalization requires you to be living in marital union. So I think what you mean is maybe I would need more information, because if you file an I-751, which is to remove conditions, and you're still living with them, but you filed it under a waiver of abuse, it doesn't matter. And you can file for naturalization within 3 years of having that green card, But if you don't have a green card, then I don't know why you will be talking about naturalization. So I think you already have a green card, but I would need more information. So feel free to call my office, 973-993-1900. All right, let's see. So TMT Beauty says, is the new law forgivable to victims of fraud marriage? Victims. You mean the perpetrators of fraud marriage? Sham marriage is a big problem. So I don't think this new law will be allowing people who are in sham marriages to, in fact, I know they will not be allowing people who are in sham marriages to U.S. citizens. And if you've had a sham marriage before, that's a permanent bar, unless you meet certain case types that would allow you to get through without the sham marriage being a problem. All right? All right. Let's see. Okay, guys. It's 10:11. Somebody said, can you pin your number? I would like to contact your office. Well, my number is pinned on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know how to pin it on Instagram. So I'm going to learn that for the next time, okay? But my number is 973-993-1900. 973-993-1900, Precious. And you can also check out our website, odunlamilaw.com. Our number is there as well. Okay? All right. All right, guys, I'm going to head out, but it was a pleasure talking to you guys. And so we're all going to be watching out to see what President Biden is going to do. And, if this goes into law, I will be letting you know. And if you need our assistance, call us 973-993-1900. And everyone have a wonderful weekend. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.